So let's remember what is energetically happening when we are trying to stop anything. When we are trying to stop doing something, it means we are aware of something and we want it to go away. We want it to stop. This could be, I want to stop freaking out. I want to get rid of these people. I want to get rid of these debt. I want to, whenever we are talking about wanting to get rid of something, something physical or an emotion, we are looking at it, trying to get it to go away. But here's the thing, anything that we are looking at is activated, and nothing activated can go away. So we then realize I actually cannot stop anything. The roundabout way of stopping something is to start something else and divert the focus and attention over here. So we then let this fire basically be deprived of oxygen and let it burn out. So this is where the chat of acceptance comes in, because how do you get rid of this thing? The first thing is to allow it to be there. Anything we're pushing away can't go away. The same thing, anything we're appreciating can't go away. Anything we are looking at can't go away. And so if we really love something in our life and we don't want it to go away, sometimes when the money starts coming in and the clients start coming in, we almost immediately start worrying that they're going to then go away. So what we have to do is remember, appreciation is glue. Appreciation is glue. That was my sole strategy to keep that wine client that made me millions of dollars. Every single day, I knew I needed to appreciate the fuck out of them. And I did that deep energy work before I did any actual work for them. So anything that you are starting to come into your life, it's so normal. I think that it would be almost impossible for something new and exciting to come in and not immediately be scared that it's going to go away. Even with me, that'll happen. So we then have to catch ourselves and say, oh, I'm going to appreciate this. I love this. I love this. I love this. With my big client, the language was like, I love this. I'm going to care more than anybody else. I'm going to deliver more than anybody else. I'm going to deliver incredible amount of value. I'm going to give you everything I have. I'm going to over deliver. I'm going to think ahead. I'm going to be on top of everything. And then I would go into the outcome, which would be like, and then I'm going to have fun and I'm going to make money for the purpose of like growing my family and the purpose of like feeling like a badass. And so I would go into this intention. And I even do that with you guys now. Now when on my list, on my piece of paper, I declare that every day or a lot of most days. I'm gonna deliver as much as I possibly can for these guys. I'm gonna care more than anybody else in the entire world. I'm gonna give more. I'm gonna do the best damn job I can. So remembering that active appreciation for things that you don't want to go away is the key. I know that wasn't really her question, but that's really important. We can all always use the reminder to appreciate the fuck out of the things that we want to stay in our life. So going back to what you were saying is, I want to chill. God, I need to chill. I need to make this feeling go away. The first step would really be being like, all right, we can rewrite this into, this makes sense. This anxiety, this anxiousness, this makes sense based on everything. This makes sense. I don't need to push this away. I can allow this. I can breathe deeper. And then I can start to learn to look in other directions. So we can ask, so if we're looking at what are the emotions you're going through, let's say you're like impatience, anxiety, really wanting it to happen really, really quick, then we would, listen, sometimes we're blessed with something happening really fucking quick. Usually it's the timeline is not what we want. However, the work's the work. The work is the work. And what's really nice is when we know we're doing the work, we can chill out on the timeline. Because when we are setting the intentions and we're doing the energy work, we know it's coming. We don't know when. A lot of times we want it right now, but the universe knows like, man, you have things to build. You have things to learn. You have like more emotional stability to find before you're really ready for that thing. So sometimes when I want to grow quicker than I am, I remind myself, I don't want it quicker. I don't want it quicker than what's best. I don't want it quicker than what's best. I want it in the perfect unfolding. I want it in the perfect unfolding. And I can remind myself that. So letting yourself off the hook for these emotions. Yesterday, I was actually telling a story of how I was kind of like tweaking out the night before, which was really unlike me because I'm usually like not tweaking out, but I had a friend from out of state and I took the entire day off, and I was like in the middle of a bunch of projects, and I had recently made the final decision to sell my house, which I thought I was going to sell it to my mom, but she's not going to buy it now. So I realized, oh my God, the house is going to be out of the family. I live in an amazing property. And I just had all these emotions about realizing, oh, like I'll have no connection to this beautiful piece of 18-acre land that I have like been crafting for 10 years, like into perfection. So there's just like a lot going on. And then the other night I felt myself feeling a lot. And yesterday, the main point of the story was you could worry about that. There's one version of reality where I could be like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm tweaking out. Oh, I'm a teacher. Oh, like, wow, is something going wrong? But nothing means anything other than the value you assign to it. So what I decided to do was to make it mean nothing, was to assign zero value to this moment in time when I was having some emotions. So I allowed myself eventually to just be like, okay, this is here. This is okay. This is okay. And in the morning, I went for a run and burned it off. So I want you to the first stage of this is like chilling out by just allowing yourself to be where you are, not trying to push that away. And then realizing you have a few tools, you have some tools, rewriting and future casting. However, and those are the most powerful, because the energy work we do here in flow is the hardest. It's saying it's 100% happening in our bodies, right? But it's really powerful because when we can do this, we can do it for anything. We can do it for anywhere. But there's like some hacks. There's some energy movement hacks. There's other things that help move energy. Exercising. It's not just like, oh yeah, exercise is good for your body. It's literally when you exercise, you're pushing energy out of your body, and there's circulation. It could be a run, a jog, a walk with a weighted vest, hot yoga, slow yoga. It could be boxing. It could just be like ecstatic dance. It could just be like music always helps. So if you're feeling like, oh my God, I just have all this energy and it feels like anxious energy, and you feel like it's hard to sit down and kind of do the slower version, that's when it's time for music. That's when it's time for movement. Sometimes it's a hot bath. Sometimes it is a long drive. You can just kind of like ask yourself. One of the things I talked about yesterday was like, if you think of like your bubble, let's say that your bubble that you usually spend your time is like your home, maybe where you go to work, all the normal places you go throughout the week, driving outside of that bubble, going to a coffee shop outside of that bubble, having a cup of tea or a hike just outside of the normal energy you're in can be really helpful. When you do that, that is when you then can breathe deeper. That is when you then can go into asking yourself, what do I actually know? What do I actually, if you're like me, it might sound like, what do I actually motherfucking know? If swearing's not your jam, you can skip that part. It's not required. For some people, swearing feels negative, but if the swearing makes you laugh and smile, know that that's then good for you. It just moves things around. For me, I usually laugh. When I swear, I usually giggle afterwards. So I know it's good for me. So that's when you can go into what I actually know. What I actually know is everything is energy. What I actually know is I'm doing a good job. What I actually know is I've never been more aware of myself. What I actually know is I've never shifted more than I have. What I actually know is everything is coming in perfect timing. What I actually know is the universe has an acute plan. Laura, what I actually know is the universe has my back, is right here. What I actually know is my actions have nothing to do with the outcome. It's my energy. And yes, I'm inspired to act, but it's not actually the actions that are getting me the results. I have to remind myself this often. It's not the actions. Yes, we act, but that comes from a place of inspiration, but it's the energy. You could have two people doing the exact same actions, one's aligned, one's not. Life is going to look really easy for one person, life is going to look really hard for one person. Guess who's who? And going into, what do I actually know? I'm right on track. I've never been more on track. What I actually know is I can be patient. What I actually know is it's unfolding. What I actually know is a timeline doesn't motherfucking matter. What I actually know is nothing is more important than feeling good right now. What I actually know is that the universe is getting more keenly aware of my energy, or I'm getting more keenly able to send out the right signal. I'm already seeing things happen. I'm already seeing things happen. So how is that? Is that a little bit helpful for you today? Did that scratch the itch for today, or do you have a follow-up question?
That was it. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else have any questions or things that they'd like answered before we do some future casting? That was a yummy. And oh, here's what I want you to do. If you liked anything from that conversation I just had with Jessica, put an H in the chat. It's always really nice to um remember that every conversation, everybody else gets everything out of that. So if you found that helpful, put an H in the chat for helpful, just to remind ourselves that we're never taking up too much space. Your question is never taking up time. Your question is, if you have the question, somebody else does. And if they don't have it, they didn't realize they had it. Literally every single question, every single conversation, everybody gets something out of that.